Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to NHL Draft Pros. On today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the players to watch at the U18 Hockey Championships taking place today in Finland. This is a huge tournament for the prospects of this draft class, and it can really boost some of their rankings. So stick around and let's check out some players that will be trying to leave a mark at this tournament. And if you want to see some scouting reports on some of the prospects for the 2024 NHL Draft class, head over to NHL Draft Pros on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel, please subscribe and hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the tournament's taking place in Finland. And if we look at the groups here, Finland, Latvia, Norway, Slovakia, and the United States are in Group A. In Group B, we have Canada, Czechia, Kazakhstan, Sweden, and Switzerland. Okay, so what I'll do in this video is I'll go through some teams and some of the prospects that would benefit from this tournament and compare them to their NHL Central Scouting rankings. The NHL Central Scouting has just released its final rankings, so we're going to compare it to that list. All right, so the first player that we're going to take a look at, and he was a late addition, is Iginla. And if you look at his ranking, his midterm ranking, he was 11, and he's bumped up to number 9. So he's crawled up in the rankings, and you can see why. Check out these points, 84 points in 64 games, 47 goals. Yes, he can rip a puck. And I'm going to add some clips here, some highlights to showcase their talents, the prospects' talents. And you'll see here in this one, Iginla using his sweet hands and his shot, his release is just ridiculous. Look at that little toe drag release. Woo! So yeah, he is coming into this tournament. If he can put up some big numbers, now he's probably going to go top 10. But I think that with a strong showing at this tournament, it's definitely going to boost his rankings. And he might even squeeze into the top 7-6 range, maybe, depending on how he holds up at this tournament. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Agena, especially on the power play and whatnot. And he's going to put up some decent points probably for sure. All right, the next one of my favorites, Greentree. Now, he is 14th. He's actually dipped a little bit in the from the midterm ranking of 12. And in my opinion, that's a mistake because he is a big player, 6'2", 200 pounds, had 90 points in 64 games for a weak Windsor Spitfire team. But yeah, he's got some talent. So check out these highlights here. The one thing with Greentree is that he's got some really, really smooth hands. He can deke with the best of them. And the one thing that you'll see with Greentree is that he attacks players one-on-one or defensemen one-on-one. He's not afraid to come right at you and deke your socks out. And the thing is, they had just had an exhibition game, and he had 2 goals already to start off the tournament. So you know what? If he can carry this on, and personally, in my opinion, I consider him a top 10 pick. I think that he has the hockey IQ, the hands, the shot, and he was named captain of the Spitfire, so he's got, good off-ice presence, I guess you could say. Big tournament, he can rise up the ranks big time. All right, moving on. We got Henry Mews. Now, he's dipped a little bit. He was at number 27 come midterm. Now he's in the 37 range for NHL Central Scouting. But check out these numbers, 61 points in 65 games as a defenseman. Now, he's a D, and he is a player that has some very, very good mobility and a nice shot. And you'll see in these highlights that I have right here. But he definitely, he kind of went down in the rankings over the season. And I think that, there's some parts of his game that need refining. However, he's a great skater. He's got some decent puck handling skills. He's good on the power play. Decent defensively. There are some things that can be improved upon. He's only 6 feet. I think that's one thing that hurts him. If he was 6'3", I think that because he's a right-handed shot. So good tournament for him, and he could be climbing the rankings in a big way. All right, moving on to Team USA. Yes, Team USA is always a threat at this tournament, and this team is stacked as well. Now, one player in particular that's come over from Tri-City is Trevor Connelly. Now, he's had a decent season in the USHL, and he put up 78 points in 52 games. So that's pretty good for a draft-eligible player. So I think that with a good showing at this tournament, it could boost his his stock. And look, he's got some nice hands, good skating, and good hockey IQ. Now, the thing is that if he comes into this tournament and he does really well, I think that he could potentially put himself in a higher pick. And like I said, NHL Central Scouting had him at number 6 for North American skater. That's pretty high, actually. I think that he'll fall past the 10th overall mark. So between 10 and 16 is where I'd say that he probably went, maybe closer to the 15 area. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, good showing, could bump his stock big time. Now, one player that has fallen, and it's not just with the NHL Central Scouting rankings, it's with all of the rankings, is Cole Eiserman. And you'll see here that he was at number 8 come the midterm and now at number 12. But look at these numbers. He has 49 goals in 50 games. Yes, he's a shooter, and he's chasing Cole Caulfield's record for most goals at the NTDP. Now, at this tournament, if he puts up 8 goals, he's going to be tied. 9 goals, breaks it. So he's going to want to definitely have a showing. Now, he's a pure shooter. He is a sniper. Boom, right there. Look at that. And obviously, some other components of his games needs improvement. I do have a scouting video on that if you want to check that out and learn a little bit more about Cole Eiserman. But I think that if he comes into this tournament and, say, has an extremely well-rounded tournament, it could definitely boost his ranking as well. And I personally think that he's a top 10 pick. He's big, he's pretty mobile, and he's got obviously a great shot, and he does show glimpses of that passing prowess. However, he's a one-trick pony, so we want to see more from Cole Eiserman. All right, moving on, we got Finland, and they got a couple of players, and one player in particular that was highly rated a couple of years ago and has dropped, and that is Aron Kiviharju. He is still ranked 8th for international skaters by NHL Central Scouting, and he had an injury at the beginning of the season, didn't play pretty much the whole season, had a couple games in September, and he plays in the Liga, the top men's league in Finland, so he only had 2 points in 7 games. He's a defenseman, and so yeah, he's kind of dipped in the last couple of years. His skating's not great. He's got some really good offensive tools, but you know what, though? His straight ahead skating is a little bit weak, or not up to par, I guess you could say. But his lateral movement, his four-way mobility is really good, and he's got some decent hands. And he is the captain of this team, so you know what, a good showing, and he could climb the ranks in a big way. Now, a couple of other players that I've included on here that I don't have clips for, and I do have videos on them anyways, and it's Konsta Helenius. He is 3rd in international skaters, so he's going to be a pretty high pick in this draft. And then the other one is Emil Hemming. Now, he's kind of a mid to late first kind of pick, in my opinion. So we'll see how they do at this tournament. All right, Sweden. So Sweden obviously always has a decent team when it comes to international play, and this year is no different. Now, one player in particular that's standing out is Sahlin Wallenius. He has climbed up the rankings. Look at this. Midterm, he was an 11. Now he's at number 7 for international skaters. He is a defenseman that plays in Sweden in the junior league. Now look at these numbers here. He had 42 points in 43 games as a defenseman. Pretty good, I'd say, overall. And again, he is more of a passer, as you can see by those numbers there, 30 assists. And this is at the Five Nations, and he was setting up goals after goals after goals. And actually, in this game here, you'll see it's tied 3-3, and this is the final game for the championship. And he dishes it off, and Sweden ends up going ahead with 1.5 seconds left in the game, and they end up winning the gold medal there at the Five Nations. So he had a really good tournament there. So again, a good tournament at the U18s, and that could bump up his stock in a big way. All right, and then another player, and I don't have any clips of him, is Alfons Freij. Now, he's another defenseman that plays out of Sweden, and he's really good, very mobile, 6 feet, 187 pounds. Again, so him and Sahlin Wallenius, if they have a good showing, it could increase their stock. Okay, the next player on the list plays for Team Switzerland, and that is Leon Muggli, and he is ranked 11 for international skaters, and he's a defenseman who played in the top men's Swiss league, and he had 12 points in 42 games. I felt that he held his own against men, which was really nice. So I'd like to see him against, his own age caliber. And he's got some pretty nice mobility on the ice, and he's very good defensively. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. If he can put up some decent points and play a solid defensive game, I think that will bump his stock and kind of certify him as one of the top defensemen, your international defensemen in this draft. And that is it for this video. So hope you enjoy the U18s. I'm going to be watching a lot of games. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you want to see some scouting reports on some of these players, head over to NHL Draft Pros. And please subscribe, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.